shine's gonna mess with the camera.
Well, welcome to Fight Week. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You came in here smiling and happy. That's always a good sign, right?
I think I'm always smiling and happy.
During weight cut and all that?
Not the actual, like once we actually start cutting the weight, then maybe it changes a little bit. But I'm still pretty positive through it, I would say. I can't say happy, positive.
Positive. Okay. So what do you think your opponent? What were your first thoughts when you got the name?
I was excited for the matchup. I like the matchup stylistically. Obviously, like the two things that come to mind with him is he's very tough and very durable. So definitely no slouch there. But as far as you guys know, I've been at this a long time. So I don't think he brings anything to the table that I haven't already seen or gone up against.
He also came in here very happy, and he's usually very cheerful. Are you anticipating a fun face-off, or do you want to get down to business?
So I already ran into him on Saturday. I think it was last Saturday. Okay. He was at the PI. I popped in, and he and his team were there, and we have no bad blood whatsoever. I walked straight up to him, shook his hand, and he extended the same, smiled, shook my hand. So there's no bad blood there.
Is it harder to fight somebody that you kind of don't have an issue with, or does that matter? Like, do fans pay more attention to that than you guys?
Fans definitely pay more attention, and from a fan's perspective, I'll be honest, it is fun to see the bad blood. Like, you want to see it. Like, you like seeing the build up. That's what was so fun about Conor when he was on the rise, right? Like, he made everybody want to watch the fight because of what he was saying, and then he went out there and backed it up for the most part. So I think as a fan, yeah, you do want to see that. For me, as a competitor, as a fighter, as a warrior, it doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, like for instance with Chris Weidman, that was probably one of the most friendly I've ever been with an opponent pre-fight. But once that cage door shut and the fight was on, I was out there to hurt him.
Do you think that there's a line that can be crossed when it comes to trash talking and building up a fight?
Oh, definitely. And that's going to be different for everybody. Some people are a little more. I remember back in the day when I was on the Ultimate Fighter, there was this one guy, Greek guy, bald. I can't remember his name. But he got so upset by every little thing that, people would poke or say or whatever. And he was a great guy, but just culturally different. And then you got a guy like me, it would probably take a lot for me for somebody to get under my skin. I could care less what they want to say about me. But yeah, I think there's definitely a line.
What are you expecting from your opponent? I know everybody prepares for 3 rounds, but do you actually think that's what's going to happen, or do you feel like you can get in and out of there pretty quick with him?
I think, like I said, he's tough and he's durable, but I do see areas in which I can expose, and that's always the plan. But nobody goes into a fight preparing for only a minute. You got to be prepared for a 15-minute war, and that's always what I prepare for, to come in the best shape possible.
Could you do a 15-round fight?
15 rounds, 5 minutes? Nah. I think we'd be dead. Like, my style of fighting, we're literally going to be on the ground.
So I know you don't want to look past your opponent, but what are some of the things that you're looking forward to this year? Any goals or any fight cards you want to fight on or anything like that?
Oh, I mean, everybody said it already, right? It's so cliche. Everybody wants to fight on the Sphere, but that's right around the corner. That's filling up really fast. But if I could get an opportunity to get on that, I'll jump at it.
Do you think of those things when you're going into a fight? Like, hey, if I get a really quick knockout, maybe I can get on that Sphere card, or can you have to put that out of your mind?
No, definitely. It's something that you can kind of think about in camp, I would say. Maybe not on fight night or even fight week. It's not something I'm zeroed in on my opponent, right? I need to be focused on him. I need to be focused on my weight cut. Once a weight cut's done, it's 100% on him. But yeah, leading up to it, like Dan and I, would joke about it. Like, he got that 3-hour, 4-hour short notice, and he'll most likely get to fight on that card because of that. But yeah, we were saying even before that opportunity, oh, that'd be awesome, to turn around and get on that card. And bringing up Dan, I'm very disappointed in him for taking that 4-hour fight. It's very selfish of him. We're supposed to be in this together. Nah, I'm just kidding. I was looking forward, like when Dan got, like I got my fight and then Dan got his, and he told me, he's like, hey, we're gonna be on the same card again. I was stoked. You know, it's always good to suffer with a brother going through like the fight week and to be able to like do everything together. And then when I got the news he took that fight, I was like, well, we're not gonna be fighting together anymore.
You can still make him suffer if you want, though.
Nah, I love Dan.
Speaking of that, would you have been able to do that? I mean, like, that seems wild for anybody. Now that it's been done, are you worried that maybe the UFC will expect that going forward of people to be ready that soon?
I wouldn't say they would expect that, but given the opportunity, like I think Dan, one, he's a freaking hammer for doing it, right? But it was super smart of him. Like, it was a great opportunity, and look at how he did in that fight. You know, like imagine with a full fight cam what that fight would have looked like. You know, like that. But that is the one good thing I'll say about it, is that it would be nice. Like, imagine you're just chilling, and they're like, hey, you got to fight. You're gonna weigh in whatever weight you're at. You're gonna fight at that weight. I'll be like, okay, cool. You know, and hopefully you hadn't done a hard training session right before that. But yeah, like it would be. It's something that I definitely would jump at the opportunity if presented to me.
Thank you.
If you were to get that 4-hour call, you walk around like closer to 205?
Yeah. Yeah. So it just depends. Like, obviously right now I'm a little lighter, but say if it was on that same night that Dan had fought, I would be closer to 205. But if the guy, like, even if my opponent, if Park, if he was like, hey, like, you know, like weeks out or whatever, like we both fight at 85 and we probably both walk around at the same weight. If he was like, hey, let's just fight at whatever we're walking at right now, 205, I'll be like, okay, cool. We don't need to cut the weight. Let's do it.
Perfect. Just stay out of this heat. You're a veteran. You mentioned it, you know, like you've been in the game for a minute, but as a true warrior, a real UFC, you know, like representative, you have to constantly learn. What did we take away from that last fight? We didn't get to talk to you from that one, obviously, but what did you walk away from that? What was the lesson there?
RoboCop was a tough opponent. You know, like looking back at it, I had him hurt in the first round, and maybe I should have jumped on it. You know, like maybe I respected him in that moment a little too much. But I know what he possesses. But that being said, like I'm not taking anything away from Gregory, but I really wish that Herzog had not stopped that fight. Like I was well aware of what was going on, and was he throwing some heavy shots? Sure, but it wasn't one of those things. Like, I've been in fights before where I've been clipped, and then the next thing that came to me was I was in the back, and I was like, oh, okay. I realized, okay, yeah, I must have just got knocked out, right? Because when you don't realize how you got there or where you are at the time, then yeah. But I was well aware the entire time, and I felt like I was defending. I was still on my feet, so I wish that he had let it go on and gave me the opportunity to go out on my shield. But, you know, it is what it is. We moved past that, and now it's on to Park.
I can dig it. Maybe you'd be like, I wish I could have got the ref from the Brock Lesnar-Shane Carwin fight.
Yes.
Carwin just went for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But look what happened. Brock rallied.
Yep.
When we make mistakes, you know, you just kind of deal with it like, oh, man, I said the wrong name, right? I typed something up. It wasn't what I wanted. But you get to kind of come back to the scene of the crime and reset this, get this one back. Does that feel any kind of way that you're here back in Vegas, back at the Apex to get your hand raised and be like, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to set this right?
Oh, always. Anytime. I'm always ultra motivated coming off a loss than a win. Like, don't get me wrong. I love winning. I hate losing. But one thing I do notice throughout my career is anytime I have suffered a loss, there's just a different fire there. Like, when you win, you're on a high, you know, but when you lose, there's a bitter taste in your mouth. And the only way to fix that is by getting a win again. So that's why you work as hard as you work, you know, to go out there and get that bitter taste out of your mouth.
Absolutely. And speaking of bitter taste, we don't have Dan on this card. It would have been great if he was there. But how awesome is it, just from not just a fighter standpoint, but just as a fan of MMA, that like Hawaii has been represented so heavily, so amazing. You had Max with that UFC 300 moment, Dan just stealing the show, and you're part of that community. That's part of who you are.
Yeah, I've been saying it. You know, they've been asking me about like, you know, what is it like the Hawaii guys, and it's just one of those things that, and even outside of fighting, like don't get me wrong, like I am super excited for all the Hawaii fighters, but just anything, like we're from such a little speck of land in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and the cost of living in Hawaii and just the opportunities, the lack thereof, I should say, of opportunities. Anytime anybody from Hawaii can get to that next stage, that next level, regardless of what it is, whether it's sports or if they did something academically, singing, cooking, whatever it is, you know, if somebody from Hawaii made it and won, is it cake? You know, like we would be super stoked for them, and they, all of them together, we bring Hawaii up together. You know, we put Hawaii on the map, this little speck of land in the middle of the ocean.
That's awesome. Well, you're on the ninth island.
Ninth Island.
Good luck on Saturday, my man.
Thank you.
How good are you? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
How good are you at that show? Because that show is it cake is really hard.
It is. This is what I always think. I always think that I would be better at it if I was actually there to see it, because on the TV, you know, it can look a little whatever. I feel like I'm pretty good at finding the fake one though, but sometimes I do get really stumped. My daughter loves that show, so we watch it all the time.
Brad, we've heard a lot of veterans say that the earlier days of them in the UFC when they were finding success goes by so fast. So how important is it now to just slow down and just appreciate every single moment?
I think in life, at all times, you gotta appreciate every single moment. And it's funny because when you're young, you don't ever stop to do that. But as you get older, that's in anything, you know, that's in your life. As you get older, I'm not sure how old you are, but as you get older, you'll stop and think back like, oh man, those days really went by really quickly, and you just stop and start enjoying the little things. Another thing to add to that is when you start having kids, because they grow up so fast. So I think that's just a life thing, you know, more than just in fighting. I think that's just everybody in life. Like when you're young, it's just flying, and then as you get older, you realize like, oh man, I really got to start enjoying these moments because they're going by quickly.
And last question, right before you came in here, I was on Instagram. I saw that you shouted out Kendall Grove.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I was wondering, who's on your Mount Rushmore of Hawaiian MMA fighters?
Oh, Hawaiian MMA fighters. Definitely BJ. I think, like, to me, BJ is the head of it. Like, BJ really put it on the map for Hawaii, really put Hawaii on the map, sorry. He was one of the pioneers, one of, in my opinion, the greatest to ever do it. Kendo is up there, you know, he's another guy that we looked up to on The Ultimate Fighter. He and I had a very similar path, I would say. He came out here to Vegas, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He ended up winning that show, season 3, that's what we were looking at out there. I would definitely put Max up there. You know, Max has to be up there with what he's been able to do over his career, and even like dude just keeps getting better, it seems like, right? Like he just keeps getting better. And then past that, I haven't really thought about it, but there's some guys that maybe you guys don't know, like Brandon Wolf would definitely be on mine. He only had 1 or 2 fights in the UFC, but maybe it's like on personal bias, you know, just what he was to me or what he is to me, he would be up there. And I don't know, I'd have to think about the rest.
Could we sneak Cabbage into the big 4?
Yeah, Cabbage, dude, that guy was so fun. Yeah. That guy is so fun. He was one of those. I remember my most memorable memory from Cabbage though wasn't even in MMA. Was in kickboxing. Was in K1. K1 came to Hawaii. They're at the Stan Sheriff, and Cabbage fought Butterbean, and I want to say he caught him with a head kick. I think it was something wild that nobody expected. But yeah, for Cabbage, that was my biggest memory of him.
Thank you for your time. Good luck.
Thank you. Raider.
Just win.
Let's go.